What is up? I'm Harbor Bickmore with Extra Credit Design Club, and today I am going to talk about how to go from absolute beginner to mastering font design in 10 steps. Learning to design fonts has totally changed my design career and, frankly, my life. Design-wise, not only has it sharpened my eye, it's helped me have better draftsmanship, how to draw better. It's given me different opportunities that I never would have had, but also, and the biggest thing, is it has allowed me to create a passive income as a graphic designer. So now I don't need to have a job. I don't need to have freelance clients and be chasing down bills and making stuff that other people want to make. I spend my day creating typefaces and designing around those typefaces things that I love. And this allows me to have total creative freedom, financial freedom, and freedom of where I want to live and work from. Not to mention a lot more free time. I've been designing fonts and selling fonts for 4 years. And in those 4 years, I've learned a lot, and I've also come across a lot of information that was a little bit time wasting. I scoured the internet high and low when I was learning this font game and trying to just get every resource I could, and every now and again I'd get a golden nugget and I'd hold on to it. And what this video is about is I want to be able to, like I wish I had, have somebody guide me from when I was starting to say, hey, these are the steps to expedite your learning process. Don't waste your time scouring high and low for all kinds of resources on the internet. These are the valuable ones. Focus here. Don't waste your time there. So I put together this list of the 10 steps that, looking back, knowing what I know now, I would advise myself to take to get to where I am. Step number 1, download Glyphs Mini. Don't waste your time designing letters in Illustrator. It is difficult, it is frustrating, it is like trying to paint with a bar of soap. Very difficult. Right away, step 1, download Glyphs Mini. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Here it is. If you go to glyphsapp.com/buy, then you have the option to buy Glyphs 3 or Glyphs Mini 2. I would say buy Glyphs Mini 2 to start off. You can download a free trial of either. I say download Glyphs Mini because it's a more simplified interface and you don't want to overwhelm yourself at first. You just want to get used to drawing the letters. You could do the month free trial, that's awesome. Or if you are more sure, like, hey, this is something I want to do right away, you can buy for the €50, the full version. I would also advise starting with Glyphs Mini, even just the free version, because there are more free resources to learn Glyphs Mini than there are for Glyphs 3. So you can get started with a lower bar of entry, cost-wise for the software and the education. Step number 2, I'm talking about design a throwaway display font. Just A through Z, capital letters, that's it. Just get the first one out of the way. Now, obviously, you need to learn the software in order to do that. So I do have a free YouTube playlist where I design a geometric sans serif typeface. It'll be here. I'll put a link on the card, and you could do that. Or if you are feeling a little more spicy, I do have a class that I teach on Skillshare. I'll show you what that looks like. Right here, this is my Skillshare profile. If you scroll down under teaching, or you could just search my name, Harbor, boom, 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 I have this class here, building a custom typeface with just enough personality. This one is similar to the free playlist. However, it is more focused on the conceptual side of type design, not just the technical learning the software. And in this course, I design a serif font. And I got no shame. If you want to sign up for Skillshare, there is a link in this video to do so. I do get a couple bucks from that if you want to support. But whether you're doing the YouTube or the Skillshare, the important thing is that you follow along and actually design your first font. You'd be surprised about how many people do the tutorials and don't design the font. And again, just do capitals if you're feeling overwhelmed. A to Z. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't worry about numbers. Don't worry about it turning out good. It won't turn out good. It will be bad. But your next one will be better, and your next one will be better, and your next one will be better. And that initial kind of paralysis, fear, or whatever it is that keeps you from just starting will be gone. Step number 3, once you've designed your first typeface, you had fun with it, it was low stress, low stakes, I'm going to advise you to now read this book, Designing Type by Karen Chang. It is the book if you want to learn type design. Let me just hit you with this here. Boom. Look at that. Looks boring as can be. For me, it looks fun. But it goes letter by letter, A to Z, capital lowercase, numbers, punctuation in serif and sans serif. How it just breaks down how to draw each letter. Super, super, super valuable book. I believe there's a second edition. I think it's a white cover, and it includes the ampersand. This is the first edition. It does not. There are plenty of books out there on type design, but if I'm being quite honest, everything that I've come across has been a more watered down version of this. Step 4, you are going to design a serif typeface while following along in the designing type book. You're going to go letter by letter as the book goes, then you're going to move on, you're going to design the numbers following the guidance and suggestions of the book, then you are going to do punctuation. Because the first time you read the book, you're going to think you learned it. But then when the rubber meets the road and you actually are designing a typeface, you're going to have to reference it back and back and back. And really, once you design that first serif font with the book, kind of going back and forth, then you'll really internalize that information. I got that book, I read it once, I did the typeface following along, and rarely have I had to reference the book again because it is just burned into my brain. Now you may ask yourself, why not do a sans serif first? It appears to be more simple. That is not the case. The sans serif is a subtle beast, a very nuanced. You gotta have a real keen eye to design a good looking sans serif. You ain't ready for it yet, but soon you will be. So step 4, along with the book, design a serif typeface. Capital, lowercase, numbers, and the punctuation that are in that designing type book. Number 5, I promised it would be soon, and here it is. Do the same thing, but design a sans serif typeface. Follow along in the book. You'll have a little bit more practice. You'll have a little bit more of a keen eye, a little bit more of a delicate, nuanced hand, and it might not turn out as nice as you want it to, but again, you got that first one out of the way. So you've designed a wacky display font, you've designed your serif, you've designed a sans serif, and that is kind of the foundation for most of contemporary type design. Step number 6, if you haven't done it already, would be to dive in and get the Glyphs 3 app. Again, you can download a free trial for a month and then decide to purchase the full version, but trust me, if at this point you still are in type design, you're still like, hey, I like this, I've done a couple typefaces, I want to advance further, invest that €300, get Glyphs 3. Now that you're comfortable with the interface of Glyphs Mini, it will be super easy to transition into Glyphs 3, but you will have more nuanced control of your drawings. You'll have layers, you'll be able to do typefaces in multiple widths and weights. You will be able to use plugins, and your life will just be a little bit easier. Your type design practice will be a little more honed in. I would advise downloading the Glyphs 3 app and also watching the video, I'm going to put a card here, about the plugins that I use for Glyphs. 3 of them are 3 plugins that I use every day. I would strongly advise that you start using those plugins in your type design process. Now, if you want to dive fully into Glyphs 3, the most affordable way that I have found to learn it is a course on Domestika. I'm going to show you what that is. So here, domestika.org, if you just search Introduction to Glyphs, you will see this video. Domestika has sales all the time, so if it's not on sale when you're trying to buy it, maybe wait a little bit. But even if it's not on sale, $40 is not too bad to learn this software front, back, sideways, everything you need to know. Now, this video only has the audio in Spanish. Y si no lo habla, entonces, we have subtitles. They're Spanish, English, Portuguese, German, French, Italian, Polish, Dutch. If you're one of those languages, hit it with the subtitles, and there you go. Now, if you absolutely don't want to spend any money learning Glyphs 3, you can be wild like I was and go to Learn on the Glyphs website, and you can scroll down and download the handbook, read the handbook, and you will know everything there is to know. Also, there are a bunch of different learning resources here. Getting started, the essentials, the pro. On the website, you can learn a lot. Step number 7, and it's a big one, is design 10 fonts, 10 typefaces, however you want to call it. It's a big step. There's 10 steps. I never said they would be short, and I never said they'd be easy. It takes time to learn type. It takes time to master anything. But I digress. Step number 7, design 10 typefaces. And as you're doing so, try to design a variety of styles. Right? You have your normal serif, your normal sans serif. You have a wacky display one. Do a couple more wacky display ones. Maybe one's soft and organic. Maybe one's super rigid and straight. Try and do something new with each one. Maybe it's Gothic, black letter, maybe it's a cursive. Really just be disciplined and try something new with each typeface. If you are looking for inspiration, I would suggest going to Fonts in Use. I'll show you what that looks like. Right here we have fontsinuse.com, and you can see it is just what it sounds like. A bunch of cool fonts in use. It's a good place to discover new typefaces, new styles, new foundries, all kinds of stuff. So I like to browse through here. Now, as this is just for you to learn typefaces, it's okay if you see one and you say, I really love that, I want to do my version of that, and you're copying it pretty close for learning purposes. That's fine, just so long as you don't publish the work. It just is for learning purposes. My advice would be, however, to find elements and pieces of fonts that you like, certain guiding principles of fonts. Try and make up in your mind, what are the guiding principles of this font that I like? Now maybe you do your version of a font with those guiding principles, not copying the aesthetic, but the sensibility behind the typeface. That way you can publish those works. You can sell them if you would like to. For this character set, I would recommend that you go to right here, this website. I'll put it in the link in the description of this video, but this is the Monotype recommended character set. If you are designing fonts with this character set, it'll pretty much give you everything you need skill-wise to design out a more extended Latin character set in the future. Plus, if you're looking to sell your typefaces, having a little bit more language support, a little bit more punctuation is always a plus. Step number 8, you can kind of do it along step number 7, and that is sell your typefaces. Don't hesitate and think, oh, I gotta be better. Just sell your typefaces and let the buyer decide if it's good enough to buy. Price it accordingly. If you're making your first couple typefaces, you're probably not going to sell them for 60 bucks. It's probably going to be $15, $20, somewhere around there. If you are wondering where to sell your typefaces, I did a video about where I would recommend you start selling your typefaces. I'll put that in the link here on this card so you can dive further into that. Another thing when it comes to selling your typefaces is getting good thumbnails and good descriptions for your fonts. This is something that I could do a whole video on that I haven't done yet. If you want me to do a video covering thumbnails, descriptions, tags for selling fonts, let me know in the comments and I'll make it happen. Just super quickly though, a good rule would be to look at top selling products on the websites that you like. You say, oh, I like this product. What are they doing with their thumbnails, description, tags? And look at 10 or so and figure out things that they have in common and do those things in your description, thumbnails, tags. But that aside, selling your fonts is a good way to know what type of fonts people like. It's a good way to really get in tune with design trends, what's going on in the industry. Not to mention, it will help you just get a little bit of extra cash flow starting to come in, and who doesn't love that? You can pay off the Glyphs softwares that you bought fairly quickly just selling fonts that you made on those softwares. Number 9. After you've designed the 10 typefaces, you're getting really comfortable. You have now a good base of skills. You have an eye for what looks good. You know how to space a typeface. You know how to give it a nice even color. All of that, you're feeling good. Now it's time to slap you down again, and you are going to design variable typefaces. That's step number 9. Design variable fonts. Now, variable fonts, in my opinion, are the future of fonts. It's what sells best for me on my shop, no competition. And you can sell them for a higher price than normal display fonts, single weight fonts. First, just design a variable font with one axis that has a variable weight from light, medium, heavy, variable. Next, try one with 2 axes. It has a variable weight and width. You got the condensed and the wide version from light to bold or black or whatever. And then if you want to get real spicy, try one with 3 axes. If it's width, weight, variable angle, or something a little spicier, width, weight, X height, roundness, craziness, whatever you want to do. Now we have arrived step number 10, the final step, and this would be to start your own website, start your own Foundry. Now that you kind of have the chops for designing the variable fonts, the families, you can charge a higher price because your quality is going to be higher. I would start to sell on your own website, either in addition to other third-party marketplaces where you're already selling, or perhaps you start a whole new Foundry, kind of, the first stuff was good and it was to learn, but now this is the real one, and you sell exclusively on your website. I would set up your website using Fontdo. Unfortunately, most website building platforms like Squarespace, Wix, that type of thing, just don't have the support that selling fonts needs. It's a very weird niche digital product, and as of right now, the time of recording, the best way that I have found to go about it is using Fontdo. I'll show you what that looks like. Here is the Fontdo platform, the e-commerce platform for independent type foundries. That's all they do, and they do it better than anybody else. All you need to set it up is a Stripe account, and it's super easy. They have a template that you can use to design your website, or if you are into coding, you can code it yourself. I just went with the template. I'll show you my website so you can see the possibilities here. This is the website here. This is the homepage. Super simple. Just has a preview of all my fonts, has a place where you can download a test version of the fonts, read my licensing, read about my Foundry. I'll just click in here to show you how simple it is. We have our thumbnails we can scroll through. Scrolling down, we have our preview of our font, regular, semi-bold, bold, extra bold, black. And then you have your type testers here. You can do your thing. You have the preview of the characters. Super awesome. Makes you seem just Mr. Professional or Mrs. Professional, whichever. And an awesome feature too is right here. You can choose individual weights you want or select the whole family. I just do a super simple licensing. You can set up your own licensing on this platform. It's based on the company size, and it's a super valuable thing to be able to use your own licensing structure based on a company size. You know, someone like Google, I'm gonna tell you what, nah. I mean, I signed NDAs, but a big company bought one of my fonts for a very little amount of money, and that was the last straw for me. That's when I said, I'm going to build my own website on Fondue, do it right, boom, boom, boom. I believe it is $45 a month to have a Fondue website, and I think they take 5% of all your sales. Super, super worth it. Again, setting up your own website is something that I could do a whole dedicated video on. If you do want me to do that, let me know in the comments and I will make that happen. But there you have it. That is cutting through all of the noise that I had to go through when I was learning type design. Those are the steps that I would take to expedite my learning. And maybe it wouldn't have taken me 4 years to get here. Maybe I could have done it in 3. And I just want you to know that learning type design isn't a get-rich-quick thing. Passive income for a graphic designer isn't a get-rich-quick thing. It's what I call a get-rich-slow scheme. It takes a while to build up the skills and the audience necessary to support yourself with this passive income, designing typefaces or digital goods. But I'm here to hopefully make the process easier for you. And that's it, and that's all. I'm Harbor with Extra Credit Design Club, and I'll catch you in the next.